Yeah. Hi everyone. Good morning. Am I audible? Voice is clear, right? Okay. So let's wait few minutes and then we will start like 9:43 we will start. Any question from DCP there? So this 4 topic left and then your syllabus is over after this. Just wait. Practice is going on, right? Revision practice is going on. Okay, let's start then. First HTTP. So your hypertext transfer protocol. So this protocol is mainly used to access data on the World Wide Web, right? On internet, if you want to access data, we normally use this protocol HTTP, right? And HTTP function as a combination of FTP and SMTP also, like for file transfer, because ultimately any web page is there, so many files are coming. So for file transfer, we need FTP. So rules of getting the file, right? Rules of transferring the file from client to server, from client to client, right? Similarly, there are simple mail transfer protocols. Also in the web browser, we normally use mail, Gmail, and all these things. Gmail in the web browser. So inside the web browser, HTTP and also SMTP is a combination of FTP and SMTP normally, because simple mail transfer protocol is normally a text-based protocol. Is a text-based protocol. So the whatever the text content, so web page is there, your basic content in the web page is text, right? So for this we need SMTP, and the other thing, the files, images, and audio and graphic, these are the special this one. So normally we use for FTP, and for audio and all these things there is one extension on the SMTP which is mine. We will see this one, right? This extension we used to get the audio and graphic, everything. So name is, I know this file transfer protocol, SMTP. So actual whatever the rules means, protocol means rules, right? Set of rules. So whatever the rules of FTP and whatever the rules of SMTP, the same rules we are using in HTTP, right? So separate FTP protocol is also there, separate SMTP protocol is also there. So same rules we are using in the HTTP. That's why it's a combination of FTP and SMTP, right? Peer-to-peer communication, some rules are there now. So these are the rules. That's it. You know that part, the protocol part. So on which port number by default? The HTTP by default port number is 80, right? This is your well-known port, right? You know the range of well-known port 0 to 1023. And after that 49 something, which is a registered port. Registered port. And after that you have dynamic ports. 65535. Right? So these are the very well-known port. And HTTP along with some security is HTTPS, and the port number of HTTPS is 443. I think, yeah, 443. The port number of HTTPS is 443. So mainly, what is the meaning of HTTP? You send the request, we get the reply. We send the request, server send the reply. That's it. So send the request here, reply came. Simple HTTP. So where we use the HTTP, see the browser, how the browser configuration is there. This is your browser, this is your controller. Controller means where you run the scripts or some file, where you run the scripts. Your HTML, your JavaScript, your Java, means some interpreter or all your compiler, interpreter, and everything, whatever. That's a part of controller. Controller is like a small processor. Control is like a processor. Let's say our in storage box we have controller, right? And on server we have controller. So normally controller is a generic term where for the processing we will see. In remember in that part, this one computer organization, we studied mapping techniques, right? So for mapping from cache memory to main memory, we need controller, cache controller, your main memory controller, right? Controller is there who is understanding the your cache index or 32-bit word to understand. So controller is a generic word for processing normally. So HTML, JavaScript, Java, interpret are the part of the controller. So which protocol in the browser we implement means that Google Chrome is there. So normally the basic which protocol are there in the Google Chrome? HTTP, FTP, Telnet, SMTP, and so many application layer protocols which are possible in Google Chrome. Some protocols are like Skype. If Skype is not possible in the web browser, then separate application for the Skype. Skype is also a application layer protocol, right? So how we access the data? What we have to send? We have to send this URL, right? So your protocol HTTP, your host name www whatever, port exactly port number / path where you want to go in index file or whatever index.html. So from the server which file we want to access, index.html. So you need to send the path. You need to send the path, then only you can access the file. So this is very simple how we request HTTP and then how we get the response from the server. So what are the method we normally use during request and response? Get method to get the document from the server, right? So I had request information about document, but not a document in itself, just about the information about the document or web page. Post send some information from the client to server. So they are post and put, two very important. Normally we use in PHP and every other scripting language, right? But normally in the starting we studied in PHP, post and put, same thing. Send a document from the server to the client. Trace incoming equals the incoming request, right? From where actually request is coming. Connect, we know this is reserved for connection, right? Option, so many options are there. So you don't need to worry about this, all this method and response, all these things. Whatever the question comes, there is no question on this till now in Gate, but if question comes, the definition of that particular method is also given in the question. So basic you should know, post and put and get and add. These four are very important. Just remember all these four. That's more than sufficient. Right, guys? Say yes or no. Okay. Application layer is very Simple and easy. If you see the questions, very straightforward question they're asking. So then we have other also 200 range also there, 300 range also there. Like if the response come in the correct way, right? Then okay, right? These are the there 200, 300 is also there. Similarly, client error and server error, like from the where web browser is there, here server is there, and this is your web browser. When you're requesting some page, but due to some error at this place, these types of error possible. Let's say internet is not there, then, or let's say whatever that you're requesting in the URL, that syntax is wrong. So that is bad request. Your syntax is wrong in the URL, right? The request lack proper authorization. Service is denied, right? Your username and password, or maybe service is denied because internet is not there. That's why. Not found. Document is not found. Whichever the path you are giving is not found, right? Method not allowed, not acceptable. So these are the restriction at client level, right? And server error, if the error is coming from the server side on the browser, let's say there is error such as crash or server side is not giving reply to the client or web browser, right? The action, the second, not implemented. The action requested cannot be performed due to some reason. Service unavailable. Let's say your server is down, temporarily unavailable. Then we are rejecting the service of the request, right? So these are the some status actually. These are the some status of the request or response. That's the meaning. Your status, if okay, then that comes in the 200 range. You can see also that part. But no need to worry, you don't need to remember all these things. You know most of the things, but it's fine. In the question, they will mention everything. So how what are in the request message? Like one example we can see, and what are in the response message. So in the request message, how to get the document, you have to use the get command, right? So this get command, then the path, and this HTTP one is what is the meaning? We will see in the further slide. HTTP requests are two possible: non-persistent and persistent. Non-persistent means 1.1, 1.0, and your persistent is 1.1. So this is a persistent request. We will see what is the meaning of persistent, non-persistent, right? So accept, which document are acceptable by the client, means your browser is which document is compatible. Only GIF and GPG, only this document can accept by the browser. This is the request we are sending to the server. Now see, the response is coming. Response HTTP 1.1, yes, from the persistent connection. So this connection is persistent connection 1.1. We will see the definition and all these things, right? One question came actually from persistent, non-persistent. And date they are telling, server name, challenger they are telling, MIME version, yes, this is MIME version, means I said na, in the SMTP is a text-based protocol, right? But if you need audio, graphic, and all these things detail you need, then some extension we need. Extension is MIME. So these are the part of HTTP, means these rules are the part of HTTP, right? They are the separate protocols also, but these rules are the part of HTTP. So they are supported. And content length, the size of the content, then body of the document is sent. This is the response, how we send the response from the server to the client. Just take a look on this slide. The same code we have to use for requesting the any document we are requesting, any web page we are requesting, right? So it is a stateless protocol. HTTP is a stateless protocol. What is the meaning? Stateless means server does not contain the state information about past client request. That is the meaning of stateless protocol. When client request to the server, right? So they are sending some request packet. This is your request packet, right? in the request packet information is there at the application. This is your message, let's say. At application layer, we call message, right? After that, this is when we go to transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and your physical layer, header we are adding, right? Header we are adding. So if you ignore this part, just think about peer-to-peer, application layer to application layer, right? Just think about application to the application layer. At server, what same application, let's say same application we are using. Here also we are using web browser, and here also we are using web browser server, right? Same application on server. So in that, we are not storing any information about client. We are not storing any server client information, right? But whatever the current connection is on, session is maintained. Let's say current connection is there, that information is there to maintain the connection, because request and response is going and going in single connection. Multiple requests are coming, multiple response we are giving from the server. But once the connection is closed, then server is not storing any information. That's the simple thing. And client maintains states cookies using cookies in HTTP header. Right? Client maintains states using cookies. So client side, we are maintaining the states with the help of cookies. Let's say after connection closed also. Yes, we have a cookie, means some cache is there. In that cache, so many informations are there. If you open your browser and open the cookie, see so many, your website name, your other informations are there also, right? Or if we call that's a part of HTTP. So in each browser has some cache, right? In that cache, we are storing cookies, right? Like your login information, username and password and all these things. Other information is also there in the cookies, right? And we discussed that part also. HTTP along with some security is HTTP 443. So now come on HTTP connections. There are two types of connection: non-persistent. Up to here is clear, guys? Agree with me? Okay. So connection are two types: non-persistent and persistent. 1.0 is non-persistent, persistent 1. See, what is the meaning of persistent and non-persistent? Non-persistent is means for each, see, listen, for each request there is one connection. For each request there is one connection. That's the meaning. What I am saying, this is, let's say this is your client, this is your server, right? Now you want to request basic web page without any files, means without any image or all these things, basic web page. Connection is open, here connection is closed, in between one web page. Now in the same web, let's say in the your web page is there, in web page 6 images are there, and one remaining your basic text file, Now how many connection in non-persistent? First connection will be open, then the basic web page, whatever the basic web page is received from the server to the client, right? Then connection is closed. Again connection is open, right? Again connection is open. Now 6 image files are there. Na? One image file means one object. Then another object will be there. Then connection is closed. Then connection is open. Then another image file will be there. Then connection is closed. So 6 plus 1, 7 TCP connections are there in non-persistent. So for each object there is one connection. For each object there is one connection. Your text file is also a one object, right? That's the meaning of non-persistent. For each object there is request and response for each object. Now in RTT, how will you see? We will see in non-persistent connection, take the connection time of 2 RTT. Round trip time, you know, this is 2 RTT, right? Plus file transmission, right? So for non-persistent connection, means for one TCP connection. Why TCP? I am saying because HTTP they use in the transport layer TCP connection. HTTP use TCP connection in transport layer. That's why I'm saying TCP connection, right? So non-persistent connection takes the connection time of 2 RTT plus file transmission time. So to initiate the connection, let's say we send the sync packet. This is for the initiate the connection establishment, right? In the transport layer, we send the sync packet. Your response came. Then request. Then we have request the file, which request you want. Then RTT is over, request came. After that, whatever the file is there, that file is coming. So your 2 RTT plus entire file received. This time is required for non-persistent connection, right? 2 RTT plus file transmission time, whatever it will take, right? So it takes first RTT to establish the connection between the server and client, and second RTT is taken to request and return the object. This case stands for the single object transmission. That's what I'm saying. So one TCP connection means single object transmission. After the client receives the object in non-persistent, the connection is immediately closed. Then new connection will be opened with the same way. With the same way means 2 RTT plus file transmission time. Again, they'll be there. For next object, again will be there. For the next object, again will be there. This file transmission is very negligible time, because normally in the 2 RTT we get the basic web page. If extra file is there, size is more, we can add that file transmission time also. Guys, it makes sense? Right. Now see persistent 1.1, right? In the persistent 1.1, the persistent connection take 2 RTT for the connection and then transfer many object. Now here one RTT, first of all, meaning of persistent 1.1 is here only one connection is open, TCP connection open request. Here you're closed. In between, multiple requests and response are going on. Multiple requests by the client, multiple response by this one. Session is maintained. It means session is maintained, right? How many times we have to request, we have to do, and all these things. Let's say you are this one. 6 images are there and one web page is there. So only one TCP connection is fine for that. One TCP connection is fine for that. Multiple requests we can do in single TCP connection. But when you talk about in the RTT, when we talk about in the RTT, how we'll see this part. A persistent connection take 2 RTT for the connection and the transfer as many objects as wanted over the single connection. Now we initiate the connection, right? Then request base file for TCP reference page, whatever the basic reference page is there, right? It will come. Then file transfer is received. Then for the next RTT for another, next RTT for another. Now only single RTT is required for each object, because connection is already maintained, because connection is already open at this time. So there is no need of RTT for initiate TCP connection, which is extra part. Only single time we have to do, right? But if you see in the non-persistent, for each object, we need to initiate the TCP connection. We need to open the connection or establish the connection, right? Now see this example. This is normal question, then you will understand. Suppose 10 images need to be downloaded from the HTTP server, right? 10 images need to be downloaded from the HTTP server. The total time taken to request and download 10 images in the non-persistent and persistent connection is, now you have 10 images we need to download it, right? So total means non-persistent for the connection time, 2 RTT connection, right? First to initiate and the basic file of reference page we received in the 2 RTT. Plus, again, how many objects are there? 10 images are there. For 10 images, what we have to do? 2 RTT. Again, initiate the connection and then receive the object. And then again initiate the connection, then receive the object. It means for each object, 2 RTT, right? For each. So 10 objects are there. 10 into 2 into RTT. It will be 20 plus 2, 22 RTT. In this first, basic reference page will be there, right? In the first page, basic reference page. Then all the remaining object will be in this one. But in the persistent 2 RTT for initiate the connection and basic reference page plus 10 objects are there, it means one single RTT is required. It means total 12 RTT required in the persistent. They will ask these types of questions. You need to, if you know that part, if you understand the persistent, non-persistent, this one. In GATE 2021 question came from persistent, non-persistent. We will see in the end. Guys, say yes or no. Okay, so this is all about HTTP. That's it. Just you need to little bit see about request and response method, right? But the definition will be given in the exam. No need to worry. Just understand small thing. That's more than enough for the GATE exam. You can solve each and every question from this knowledge. Because HTTP is a big topic, if you go in detail, there is no limit, right? Somehow we have to put some limit on that. Okay, that information is sufficient, right? Otherwise, if you go open the Wikipedia, so many examples are so many examples. It's a norm day-to-day life, right? Just basic thing, persistent and non-persistent, and HTTP is a TCP transport layer protocol. And you need to understand that part. And if you know the TCP, what is the meaning of TCP? Connection oriented protocol. What is the meaning of connection oriented protocol? Means we have to set up the connection, then transfer the data transfer, then tear down the connection or connection termination is there. What is the meaning of connection? Connection, this one, establishment means at the time of setup we have to reserve the resources. But here TCP is a virtual connection, virtual network, right? You know that connection oriented protocol. In the genuine, we are not reserving some resources, but as genuine network works, similarly we are doing at transport layer. But in reality, in TCP/IP protocol, mainly connectionless protocol is there. This TCP/IP stack is there now. I said now this is your connection oriented, but this connection oriented at transport layer only. But actual communication we do in physical layer, right? You know. But this physical layer and all this thing is connectionless, where we are not storing connection information. Connectionless means there is no information about the connection, whole path. But connection oriented means whole connection information is there. Where the source, where the destination, in between, but how many intermediate nodes are there, right? You know, we discussed in detail already, right? So everything is linked. The main thing is everything is linked. So see, this is your non-persistent multiple connection, right? And this is your persistent. Here open, close, open, close, open, close. But here single time open, in between communication is going on. Okay, done. So file transfer protocol. This is for file transfer protocol. So this file transfer protocol are two types, actually: FTP, normal FTP, and TFTP. Your FTP is the authorized user. Means authorized user means if you want to download the file from the server, first of all, authorization will be required. Your username and password will be given to you. After logging to that password, we can download the file from the server, right? And this anonymous user means this is a TFTP. The main is you don't need username and password. By default, some password, let's say guest and password, right? This guest and password is fixed for anonymous users, right? So unknown user is there, so there is no need of username and password where we use TFTP protocol. So whatever the document in the public domain which are allowed for the public and there is no need of authorization, we use TFTP protocol. We use TFTP protocol. Otherwise, this is your file transfer protocol for the authorization. Okay, that's the meaning. Now, FTP use the service of TCP, right? In the transport layer protocol, which protocol we use? TCP protocol we use, right? So it need two connection. two connections are required for transfer the file from server to client or client to server in any way, vice versa. One connection is we called connection, control connection, right? And another is your data connection. Your control connection works on port number 21 and your data connection works on port number 20. It means port number is different. What is the meaning of port number? It means two separate processes, right? We have one control process which work on port number 21. We have data process which work on port number 20. That's the meaning, right? Understood? If I am saying different port number means different process, because one process attached to one port number, right? These are the basic thing, right? Now let's see, this is your user interface, and if you want to transfer the file, then we have a control process, then data transfer process. First of all, we send the control command to establish the connection between server and client. Control command, right? After establish the connection, we can transfer the file. If you do this one, let's say in a Linux command, a normal FTP, do some your server name, domain name or IP, whatever. Let's say FTP IP, 10.10.10.10. Let's say this one. So we are set up. They will ask login information. Tell me sir login name. Then they will ask password information, right? After passing the username and password, we set up the connection. Okay. Then where the home directory of the server, whatever the home directory, that will means on the FTP, whatever the path is there. Actually, let's say path, depend upon path. Now I just gave the FTP plus IP, so by default home directory. But if you want to go to the specific path, here you have to mention 10.10.10.0, here port number, whatever, then path name. Let's say index, folder name is there, then 1, 2, 3, whatever, right? So path. So after login, we can see the directory, right? So we do the ls command. If you do the ls command, how many files in that directory and whatever, then now if you want to move that file to your particular folder, or you want to receive, or you want to send the file, what you have to do? You have to do put or push. Normally put the file, put command is there, right? To put the file on the directory, right? Similarly, you want to receive that file, so some commands are there. Like no need to worry about the commands and all these things. The main thing is here, you first need to authorization. After authorization, directory will be there. From that directory, whatever you want to do it. So whatever you want to do, it means data transfer phase. There is a separate process for the data transfer. But this whole login information and password, FTP, what we are doing, this we are doing through the control process. Right? That makes sense? Right. So now if you see, you're using control connection. So let's say I'm a client, you are a server. One connection is we need to set up. So through control connection, we need to set up. Through control process, we need to we send the connection. Now this NVT Sky control connection means this is your network virtual terminal. Network virtual. We open the terminal now, virtual terminal, we open and run the FTP command. So first we open the terminal, run the FTP, your server name, let's say google.com, whatever. So where google.com is there, that home directory is there, in this so many files are there, right? So for web hosting, right? If you want to upload your website on the web hosting, you need to do FTP, right? Normally we use FTP if anyone tried in that. If we go to IBIBO, all these things, which protocol we use to send this FTP, Normally in every file transfer we use FTP, but if you want to use this FTP, right? Let's say this is your VM or VM server is there, so many documents, and in that, let's say I am a client, so on my directory I need this one, so I need to first FTP to this server, right? Connection will be established, then login and password, whatever is there, my name, right? Then directory will be open. From that file we have to move to this one, download to client, by put or pull command, right? And similarly using the data connection, here data connection means your data transfer phase. So if your file type, data texture type, transmission board are defined by the client, which type of file you want, what type of data structure are you sending, so that the file we can receive, and transmission mode defined by the client. This is your data transfer process. Let's see this example. Now let's see this example. We are doing FTP, right? Here this server name is there, some name is there, we connect it to this one, right? And the response comes from the server, this one, this one, what I am saying, pink color, colorful pink color is a control connection thing. So they are asking 2020 is a status, 530 is a status, some key or some meaning of this is there, right? Please logging the username. Now we are sending the name and we are sending the this colorful is a control connection. On the control process information is coming, that's the name. Then and the name and what we are sending on data transfer. Then your connection is now, see now ls report, now that directory we are doing, how many files are there, these files are there, right? Then we able to see listing is done. Now you want to put the file or pull the file, and after that if you want to quit this one. Right, same thing. Now TFTP, if you see now here, what same FTP with server, now TFTP, the same FTP with server here connected with that, but name is whatever, password is guessed, let's say this is fixed. By default it will come, means name and password will be there, but you don't need to enter the password, information will be there, right? It's like autocomplete, information will be there. Then you can open the file, do the ls, this is pw just to check the directory, then ls command c and close the connection, do whatever you want to do, data transfer, all these things, then close the connection and quit. Right, this is anonymous FTP, TFTP. Okay, that's all about FTP, that's it. Right, the main thing is your control command and your control commands are there, and your data commands are there. So they have two separate connection, control connection data, but there is one telnet, remote login is also there. This is not in syllabus, just listen about that. Telnet is also this one, login to remotely if you want to log in, but here the control information and the data information we use shared channel, we use shared connection in the telnet, but not in FTP. In the telnet also we do now, open the telnet and all these things, we can see list and all these things. From the telnet we can see any operating system, any file directory, all these things. Same thing we have to do here also, remote login. But here the difference between FTP and telnet is using shared connection. The data connection and your control connection, only one connection is required in the telnet, but in the FTP two connections are required, two processes are there, two different port number, but telnet has one port number. Now the last protocol, then your CN is over. Last SMTP and email. That's right, email also. Right. So SMTP means simple mail transfer protocol. So SMTP is a text-based protocol mainly, but we can send graphic data with the help of MyMail text extension. Right, multimedia extension. So by default SMTP is 25. By default port is 25. Now see how we communication. Let's say I am a client X and you are also a client Y, right? So we use push protocol, means SMTP protocol. Push protocol means push protocol is a SMTP protocol. We use SMTP protocol to send the mail to the mail server first of all, right? Done. Now if you want to receive from the mail server to the client, we use pull protocol. We use pull protocol. Push is done, pull protocol. So this protocol means POP3 and IMAP4. These two protocol are pull protocol. So SMTP only do client to server. That's it. Client to server. That's it. But from server to client, there is pull protocol, different protocol. Which protocol is POP3 and IMAP4? POP3 means Post Office Protocol and IMAP4 means Internet Message Access Protocol, right? Mainly mail to client or server to client. That's it. Now see some points about this one. Just for your notes, already we discussed. SMTP is known as push protocol because it is used to sending the mail to mail server. So from that line, you can get this SMTP is a asynchronous protocol. Asynchronous means synchronization is not needed. Let's say this is your client X and this is your client Y. Let's say client Y is offline, there is no connection. Let's say it doesn't matter. Client X is open, it will send the mail to server, and this server is always 24/7 open. You know, your Gmail server is always open. Maybe for the maintenance, they will take down for 1 minute, 2 minutes. This is very rare. Gmail server is rare, right? So this is, we send the information. Those asynchronous setup is there. Now let's say client Y is off, it's fine. But when client Y will open the connection, then all the mail will be received to this one. How will you understand that part? Let's say open your Gmail, right? Now if you open your Gmail, you will see, if you do the refresh, all the mail will come, right? Just you open the mail, all the mail. If very fast, maybe after opening you will see. Otherwise, if you do the refresh, all the mail from the server to your system will come. It means you are opening the connection. It means you are set up the connection from client to server. Like this. In this ways you can think. Then POP3 and IMAP4 are known as pull protocol because they are used for receiving the mail from mail server, right? SMTP combined with POP3 and IMAP. This is very important. SMTP combined with POP3 and IMAP is known as client to client protocol. Normally from the previous lecture, we are talking about client server, client server, client server. That's to client protocol. How we call? If we use SMTP plus POP3 or IMAP, is known as client to client protocol with the intermediation by mail server, right? So this is also done. SMTP is an asynchronous protocol because when sending the mail, it is not necessary condition other clients should be alive. So this is not a necessary condition. That's why asynchronous. Yes, asynchronous communication is this one now. You know that, right? Because in the background, everything is going on. When system comes up, we will take asynchronous like this, right? In another way, if you say callback function. Callback function is asynchronous. It means we send the information, we send this one information, and he's waiting for the response. But here, send the information, then further program is running. Whenever the response will come, the interrupt will tell this process your response will come. So that response we will receive in the callback function. We will receive in the callback function, whatever the response. In the meantime, other work is going on the process. That is asynchronous, right? Right? The meaning of asynchronous in terms of programming. Guys, say yes or no. You know the callback and all this thing. This callback function, this term is very important. If someone is working in industry, he knows if someone is in college, he knows also. Right? SMTP use a TCP protocol in transport layer. IMAP4 is the most secure than POP3 because it will scan for virus before the file get downloaded. So for the security purpose, we use IMAP. If there is no required of any security, then POP3 is sufficient. Mail can be kept in hierarchy in IMAP, but the facility is not available in POP3. Hierarchy means, what is the meaning of hierarchy? If we use IMAP protocol, if we keep in hierarchy, it means your searching time will be less. That is the meaning of hierarchy. The way you arrange the mail structure, your searching time is very less, right? Already we discussed in the last lecture multiple times. Hierarchy means, right, to organize. So scenario in electronic mails is there. So there are some scenario in today's world we use. This is your user agent. This is your message transfer agent. And this is your message access agent. What is the meaning of this one? Now, if you want to send a mail from your client to server, your message transfer agent client will be there that will send to the server empty, right? This will be there. Now, let's say this is your also server 1 and this is your server 2. This is your local server and this is your remote server. Let's say this is your India server and this is your US server, right? From India server to US server, then the US server to your particular client. So the client to client protocol communication will be there. Now, what agent we have to use for this one? Internal MTA, then MTA client to server, MTA also. But here from server to client means this is your pull protocol and this is your push. Here we are pushing, so up to this push protocol. It means from client to server. Server to server is also SMTP. Server to server is also SMTP. So here this is, it means this is SMTP, but here this is IMAP or POP3, right? So which terminology we are using? There is MMA server, message access agent is there, right? From message access agent and message access client is there, right? For the pull protocol, but for the client to server, we are using MTA. This is just a name, just a simple process is there. This is a process name, that's it. This is, socket programming, right? Your client socket programming is there, and then you have server. Here programming is there. One file is there, client file is there, server file is there. This client file we call MTA client, and this server file we call MTA server. Here we are opening the connection and closing the connection, and in between data transfer is going on. Nothing else. Open the file descriptor, right? If you know a little bit about socket, open the file descriptor, and whatever the length and message, all our information here. Then after that, information is there, connection is already sent. Then after that, we are closing the file descriptor like this. So these are the just programming files. We call this one message transfer agent and message access agent. That's it. So simple, opening the socket and send the data and close the connection. That's it. Whatever the rules of the protocol, simple way. So these are the protocols actually, these client and server, these are the protocol information. Here we are implementing the protocol. So here it means these protocol where we will run these files. We run these files on the application layer. That's why we call application layer protocol. So this file will be executed at the application. What is the meaning of application layer with this file? Means this file we use on the web browser. Web browser are doing this. Similarly, when we go to the transport layer, then we come on the system level, right? On system, we are running some file. And when we come at network layer, where the routing information will be there. That routing information is not a part of browser, that a part of our system. IP is assigned to our system. Then when we go to the data link layer, NIC card we are using, which network interface card we are using, where MAC address is assigned. Here MAC address we are giving to the as a header to the message, right? Then we come to the port, or port means Ethernet port, your actual port we call, right? Port is there, port is there. So in that wiring, LAN wire or wireless connection will be there. And from that, we are converting our frames into bits like this. So these files are the part of web browser, application layer protocol. That's it. So same thing for push. here MTA client to MTA server. For pull, here from MA server to MA. This is message access agent, message access agent, message transfer agent. Just a name. That's it. So when both sender and receiver are connected to the mail server via LAN or WAN, we need a LAN or WAN. We need two UA and two pair of MTA and a pair of MTA. Two means user agent. One agent at this one, other agent at this one. Two pair of MTA means from client to server, and a pair of MA, it means from server to client. From server to client. Here, client, server, server. That's why two pair of MTA. MTA, MTA, MTA. This pair and this pair. Here only single pair is needed. So MI, your multimedia extension. So normally user is there. We send in the text form. After applying the MIA, it convert into particular XI format with the audio and graphic information also. Then normal communication is doing with the help of this extension, right? This information is more than enough. So what is your SMTP range? What is your SMTP range is from here to here. It means from client to server. It means server to server also. And what is your IMAP and POP? This is your IMAP or POP, whatever you are using. POP3. Right? That is the range of this one. Okay, done, guys. Done. Your CN is done. Like in the next Sunday, or maybe next Sunday, Friday, we will discuss that part. I need to discuss the next first. 1 hour lecture I will take, only difficult question. That's it. Little complex and difficult. We will discuss if is there, but it's very rare to find very difficult question in computer network. Rare to find. Computer network is very easy subject. Just you need to revise and just solve the question. That's it. Let's start gate questions. This is gate 11 question. So guys, try this question. You have 2 minutes. Then we will discuss. Okay, Aditi, Sanjeev. Guys, Gayatri, Neha, Anshu, Sai, long time. See, send an email from a mail client to mail server. Right? Mail client means client to server, SMTP for mail, right? You know that part. Simple mail transfer protocol. Download the email from mailbox server to the mail client. Then again, POP we have to use. And checking email in the web browser, which is HTTP, right? Make sense? Right? Now try this question. Yes, if option existed, that is also valid. Then in a multiple select question, let's say in multiple select questions, Sanjeev, that option will be you need to select this one, SMTP POP3 and SMTP IMAP also, right? That also valid. Makes sense. See, main thing now, the IMAP we are using, why? Because just for the security purpose, right? We have to scan the virus if virus is there or not, otherwise we can't download. So normally in our life we use IMAP only. Aditi Shrivastava saying B. Which of the protocol pair can be used to send and retrieve? For sending, but in order. So for send we use SMTP, and for retrieve we use POP3. So D is also there, but no, this is not used for the sending. This is for retrieving. This is for retrieving, right? This is GATE 2019 question 1 marks, right? So if you confuse with these two, no. Answer is B, right? It makes sense. Say yes or no. Right. Now try this one, guys. Which of the following is an example of stateful application layer protocol? Stateful. CCC, okay. Just think. HTTP stateless, right? You know that part. Stateless means we are not storing any information about our past client, right? We are not storing any information of the client at the server. That is HTTP, right? So it is a stateless. That's we understood. So FTP is stateful. Yes, control connection is there. Setup is there. POP3 is also stateful, right? POP3 is also stateful application layer protocol because state information is there at the mail server and client side. Okay, these two is done. Why not TCP? TCP is stateful layer application protocol or not? What do you say? TCP is there or not? Just tell me. Yes, it's not an application layer. Good, you got it. So TCP is not a application layer protocol, it is a transport layer protocol. So you first of all we have to remove that part. If they are talking about application layer, why we are talking about TCP? It doesn't make sense, right? So where 3 is there, here 3 is there, this question is wrong. Then HTTP is stateless, this is also wrong. FTP, you know, stateful. So its answer is C, right? So this attention is for proper attention is required. What we are so in the flow, maybe you do silly mistake, right? No, whatever the protocol we are using, we are talking about TCP and UDP is the transport layer protocol. Try this one, guys. Okay, obviously, okay, good. That is also good. So cookie is a piece of code. First of all, that line is wrong. Cookie is not a piece of code. Cookie is just a string, or you can say some file, right? Some string information is there, has a potential to compromise the security of internet. So cookie is not a code. Cookie is just information. In this web browser, we store this one. It's like a cache memory. So cookie gain entry to the user work area through the HTTP, right? Cookie has expiry date, right? Cookie can be used to track the browsing pattern of the user at a particular site, right? These three are the true statement, and this one is false because cookie is not a piece of code. It's just a file, or you can say string information. That's it. We already solved this question again, and now I'm giving to you guys. Now try this one again. Now you will understand DNS. What is the meaning, right? So answer is C, right? You know, first of all, from the domain name, you need IP. After that, you need connection establishment. Then your normal HTTP GET request. Answer is C, right? So can you explain that, sir? Okay, sure. C, identify the correct sequence in which the flowing packets are transmitted on the network by the host when the browser requests a web page from the remote server, assuming that host just has been restarted. Now, let's say you're at the client side, your system is restarted, right? So when you send a request, normally for the HTTP, what we do? We do www.amazon.com, let's say, right? So this on the web browser we are doing. After that, we are going to transport layer, network layer, where we are adding IPs and all these things, destination. And here destination IP is amazon.com, right? But amazon.com is a domain name. It's not an IP. So first of all, we need to send the DNS query to the DNS server, DNS query to the DNS server to get the IP of the amazon.com, right? What is the IP? Then only that IP we can add in the IP header, right? In the header, right? So that we can go to destination, right? If you don't know the IP of Amazon, how we will say this one? So DNS query will do the mapping of the name to IP. So I got the IP from the DNS server, right? So this DNS server IP and DNS client information already in the web browser is there. DNS server IP is there, so no need to worry about this IP. If you're thinking, sir, how we got to know the DNS server IP? Because we have to go to the server also, that part. So IP is there in the DNS client. That file is there. The DNS client file is there. DNS client file is there. In that file, IP is there. From that IP, we go DNS server, and in the server, we are searching the amazon.com. So, okay, we got one IP, let's say one IP we got, then we get the response back. Now, again, we got the IP. Now, again, which sequence we have to? TCP sync, which is a part of transport layer. What we need to do, the connection establishment. That's why we use sync one. So here, because HTTP is a TCP connection, right? As connection establishment is done. So here connection establishment is done. So here in bit sync packet we are sending. After that, data transfer means whatever you want. Whatever means a get request. Okay, this data we need. A get request by the HTTP. This is a data transfer phase. Right side. Got it? go and see the previous lecture and study this synchronization, right? TCP sync, and see this DNS query. What is the meaning of this? You will understand all these things. We need the IP, then connection establishment. This packet we will send in connection establishment phase, or this packet we will send in data transfer phase. Sai, say yes or no? Okay. Now try this one, guys. Easy question. I said now application layer protocol, straightforward question, right? There is no numerical, nothing is there. Only one numerical 2020 came, but that is very easy. We will discuss. Okay, now there is some confusion between B and C. Let's see. Your TCP header sequence number is 32-bit, you know that part, right? And your Ethernet MAC address is 48-bit, right? And your UDP header port number, your port number is 16 hota hai, you know that 16-bit port number, right? 16-bit. And IPv6 next header, which is 8-bit. Yeah, that is a new thing for you. This time IPv6 is not in the syllabus, so no need to worry about that thing. We did not discuss that part because in this time in the computer network, IPv6 is removed, is not part of syllabus, right? So if you don't know for now, it's 8 bits, right? So if you don't know that 8-bit, it's fine. No need to worry. No need to worry, right? Right, so you got the answer. Your port number is 16-bit, MAC address 48, then 8-bit, and sequence number 32-bit, the remaining 8-bit. You can do all calculation. Answer is this. So question is GATE 2020 I'm time. GATE 2020. Assume that you listen carefully. Assume that you have made a request for the web page through the web browser to the web server, right? This is your web browser and this is your web server, right? Initially the browser cache is empty. Whatever the cache, this is empty, right? Further, the browser is configured to send HTTP request in non-persistent mode, right? The web page contain text and 5 image file. Text and 5 image file. The minimum number of TCP connection required to display the web page completely in your browser is minimum number of TCP connection. Now, question is clear. Normal web browser, from the web browser we are requesting a web page. In that web page, your text plus 5 image files are there, and non-persistent mode connection is there between this one, as initially cache is empty. So minimum number of TCP connection. That's the right. In TCP connection, 1 TCP connection for the text and the 5 TCP connection for 5, because non-persistent, it means non-persistent, it means 6 objects will be there. First object for the basic file and 5 object for the image. So for each object, one TCP connection. For each object, one TCP connection. So answer is 6. We discussed just now, right? In the HTTP, in non-persistent, for each object there is one connection, TCP connection. So this is GATE 2020 question. Right? Guys, say yes or no. Everyone. Okay. That is done. And anything left? I think all are done. One more thing. I think I missed that part. Maybe just for you. So this is your web browser, and cache is there. Then we have your ISP, or you can say this is your router. Then ISP. Then router, your web server. So whenever we are doing the HTTP request now, like DNS, when we are doing the HTTP request, on each router, on each ISP, cache is there, right? In the first time, when the first time we request the HTTP request from web page, on each layer, ISP and all these things in the cache, this page will be stored. And after few minutes, let's say after few seconds, the same page will be requested. Then there is no need to go from client to server again. From the web browser, whatever the conditions are there, means time limit and all these things are there, they will go and check in the cache if web page is there. If web page is there, from that web page we send the response. There is no need to go further to save the time. That is also possibility in the HTTP connection, like DNS query. In the DNS question also we go check the cache is there, domain name to IP is there. If IP is there, we send the IP from the cache itself. Otherwise, we need to go server. Otherwise, we need to go server, right? So page is also there. Like ISP means Airtel router. This is ISP means internet service provider, Airtel. Let's say, for example, Airtel or your Vodafone, whatever you want to consider. So in the cache, we are checking if the request is present in cache, right? If the request means whatever the request, let's say some get request is there. If that there corresponding to get response is there, this response will be sent to the web browser. So response is also there. They are checking from get request to response, right? Yeah. If the request is present. Okay, guys, I think computer network is over. I am done. So there is no extra thing. But 1 hour lecture I will take most probably Friday or maybe Sunday. We will decide. We will inform you and discuss few questions, difficult questions. That's it. Guys, any question? All are fine. Just revise again from the first day. I am saying two techniques are there to crack the exam in top 500, 200, whatever. Revision, practice multiple time. Read the old PPTs, make the short notes, and practice a lot, right? And start giving your class test, whatever in the portal we are there na, start giving class test, and by next maybe by next week all the tests will be there on the portal, and whatever the tests are there, just start giving. Okay, guys, thank you. You can leave. Thank you. That's it, I think. Okay.